Every like, every comment, and every subscriber gives me motivation daily to bring you guys the best MMA content on YouTube. What's up, gang? Welcome back to Trippy Speaks UFC. We are the champions of the MMA content creation world. The rest of the world is just contenders. Now look, here's my predictions for Diaz versus Lawler 2. So, okay, the first fight was 17 years ago. Your boy was 4 years old when the first fight happened. So, this is a completely different fight because both guys are way out of their primes. Way out of their primes. And the harsh truth is, we got to keep it fact for fact when it comes to predictions. Nick Diaz has been out of the game for 8 years. Almost 8 years. Completely out of the game. Hasn't been in fight shape. Hasn't been necessarily taking care of his body the way he should. Yes, he's been competing in triathlons. Yes, he's been doing all these things, but he's been drinking, smoking, partying. He hasn't been training for fights. He hasn't been boxing. He hasn't been doing all these things for these 8 years he's been out. He's been out and he's been out of the game. Like, far from it. Robbie Lawler has regressed in his skills and he's not the same fighter, but Robbie Lawler has been competing consistently. His last fight was Neil Magny, and yes, it seems like the motivation to chase the title is now completely gone, when it was there when he fought Ben Askren the first time. And that was, in my opinion, that was when Robbie Lawler still had a little bit of the hunger to come in and fight. Now Nick, on the other hand, completely lost that motivation and then just suddenly regained it. So now we're looking at, basically this fight is going to be based off of who looks worse than the other. Because, let's be honest, this is an old man's fight. This isn't a, oh, skill for skill, tat for tat, oh man, the most technical. No, this is going to be an old school fight. But you know what that means? It's going to be one heck of a banger because both styles, both men throws down. And they're both those two legends of the game that come from that hardcore era of just fighting. And they just throw down. So we're going to see a throwdown no matter what. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go skill for skill. Let's just talk about it. So we know that both guys are basically shadows of them former shells of their former selves. But whenever you look at the style, I know everybody has been saying what they've been saying about Nick. Nick Diaz has a solid chance. He actually does have a chance of beating Robbie Lawler. Because people are just focusing around Nick. They're just saying how Nick has been looking so bad. But we haven't seen Robbie Lawler since he lost to Neil Magny. I understand he's been training, but that so much training, that doesn't mean that it's going to stop your regression. Just look at Tony Ferguson. Look at how bad he's been looking. And Tony has been competing more than both of these guys. More than both of these guys. He's been more active than both. So you can't just look at the fact that Robbie has been active and then just say, oh, he's going to kill Nick. And I get that. I do get it. But you can't just say that's the only reason. Because yes, Nick could go in there and he could look terrible. He could look like me out there and get murdered. That is true. If he comes in there and he's as bad as we think he is, he's going to get murdered. But here's where it's tough for me. Because it's easy just to say Robbie's going to come out, and we all know the style Robbie Lawler brings. Just because he's a worse version of himself doesn't mean that he's changed the way he fights. He just doesn't fight at the same skill level he did. So Robbie comes out, pushes a hard pace, and tries to kill you in the first and second. Slows down by the end of the first, takes it moderate at the beginning of the second, and then picks it back up in the fifth round, literally in the championship rounds. Nick starts slow. Both of the Diaz brothers start slow, and they get hit a lot. So here's what a lot of this is going to be based off of. Can Nick Diaz still take punishment? Can he still take a clean shot after being out for that long, you know? Has the wars that he had in the past caught up with him now that he's been sitting stagnant in his skills? And as for Robbie, coming into this fight, fighting in a weight class he's actually never competed in before. This fight is now 15 pounds heavier. This fight is now at 185 opposed to 170. How is that going to affect Lawler? How is that going to affect the durability of Nick Diaz? Now, I know there's this rumor going around that Nick got really hurt or really badly knocked out in sparring or whatever happened, and he might come into the fight concussed. Since we don't know what happened, I can't base my prediction on that. I can't say, oh, because Nick supposedly got KO'd in sparring, doesn't mean that I'm just going to go out and say Robbie's going to win. But what I am going to say, also another thing I need to debunk real quick, is how Nick looks in the photo shoots where he's basically shadow boxing for the cameras. You can't look at that either whenever the guy is just shadowboxing going at 25% and then be like, oh, nope, he looks slow. Lawler's going to go in there and kill him. Here's how this fight is going to go. And here's how I'm going to base my prediction. If Robbie comes out and tries to kill him, and Nick can't withstand the punishment anymore, and his defense is just bad, his reflexes is terrible, and he's an old man, and Robbie goes out there and he's gonna try and kill him, and Nick can't handle the pressure, then I believe that this fight will be over in about 45 seconds. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say over in the first 2 minutes. I believe the first minute, 25 seconds, Diaz gets standing TKO'd. He gets borderline knocked out, because I don't think whoever's reffing the fight, I don't believe that they're going to let Nick Diaz go out there and get knocked out. I believe that if Nick Diaz gets hurt and he's getting wailed off on, I believe that the ref is going to borderline early stop it, because you don't want Nick to get hurt, man. But if Nick can survive the first round, the fight starts going in his favor in a major way. I don't care how slow he looks. I don't care how bad he looks. Robbie Lawler, for the most part, in his decline, is that he's always had this weakness to volume. He becomes gun shy under the volume and only looks to dodge and slip. Well, that has only become worse since he started declining. He won't throw. Robbie Lawler, man, has lost it in terms of how vicious he can be. He's just not as vicious as he was, and that's the harsh truth. And there's a strong chance that Nick Diaz comes out and survives the watered down viciousness of Robbie Lawler. I would not be surprised if he does. But that's how I'm basing this fight. I'm going to have to pick Robbie Lawler. I'm sorry. Only because even if Robbie Lawler does succumb to the volume and becomes gun shy and Nick just picks him apart from second to 5, I believe what really happens is that Lawler comes out and tries to kill him. Nick probably survives it, or he gets knocked out. And Nick comes on in the 3rd or 4th round, but the way he looks and the blows of his shots aren't going to have much pop behind him, so the damage given to Robbie isn't going to make too much of a difference on the judges' scorecards. You get what I'm saying? And then Robbie comes back in the 4th and 5th and outstrikes Diaz. So I got Lawler either by decision or either by TKO. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Diaz scores a late win over Robbie Lawler. That's the truth. But either way, I hope both guys come out of this fight healthy, man. I don't want to see any of these guys seriously hurt. But it's been your boy Trippy. Let me know what you guys think. And I'm out, man.